day of ICW2021 Malaysia chapter. And today we are fortunate to have a speaker all the way from US that is on the Malaysia's positioning. US is the far left, and Chuck is actually coming from a place called Virginia, very near to Washington DC. Yesterday we have a wonderful speaker, Peter Barr from Oceania. So right now we are covering both sides of the globe, the east and the west, yeah. And later tomorrow you'll be having someone from Asia, right? And starting off today, one more time, good morning. And for those who just check in, your name in the chat box, please. Your name, where you come from, and finally, how familiar are you with design thinking? Okay. And moving on for today, I'm going to do a slide share. Yeah. Welcome to the International Coaching Week. For Malaysia, it will be 17th to 22nd of May. Globally, it's 17th to 23rd. That is the official International Coaching Week. Yep. Just before we proceed on, some housekeeping for everyone. Please turn off any distractions that may stall you from being with us today. Please check your internet connections, and on that same note, just in case if you are kicked out of the room due to internet challenges or due to the bandwidth, no worry. Just dial in and we will admit you again. You know, in today's Zoom space, anything could happen. Yeah, it could be happening from our side or your side. No worries, just dial in, we'll admit you in again. Check your audio, yeah. And if you have your earphone piece with you, please do so. Please help us to mute so that your background noise doesn't disturb the conversations in the room, yeah. And we will very much appreciate if you can turn on video throughout the session so that there will be more engagement with the speaker. We have a wonderful speaker today. So please turn on your video. We can see everyone. We'd like to engage with you. And at the same time, use the chat box for questions. And for our logistics on the questions, if you have any questions for Chuck, what you can do is put a Q in front of your question so that we know and we could pick up from your chat. We'll pick up as many as possible to help you answer. Hopefully we can get it done by today at the end of the session. Yeah. So that's a little bit about our housekeeping rules. And moving on, so the Malaysia chapter, ICF Malaysia chapter, was formed 19 years ago in 2002. As of 30th April this year, we have 158 members, right? And the two-pronged mission of ICF Malaysia. First one, advocates the benefit of coaching for every individual and organization. Second, facilitates coaches in their continuous professional growth. And our affiliation to the global body. So currently, ICF Global, we have 45,336 ICF members as at end of April 2021 in 152 countries, 143 chapters in 80 countries and more. Yeah. All ICF members must possess a foundational level of coach-specific training. ICF members must adhere to the ICF Code of Ethics, yep. And last but not least, about ICW, the one everybody is present today. The International Coaching Week is an annual celebration of the power and impact of professional coaching. This is where we deliver our service to the world, to mankind. Our theme for 2021 is Define Challenging Times. And as mentioned, officially, we are from 17th to 23rd, but for Malaysia, it ends on 22nd, this Saturday. Yep. We invite individuals to explore the power of coaching and their workplaces to raise performance and productivity. This is where, for those in the room who are not familiar with coaching, welcome to ICF Coaching. And today, There are two parts which we're going to share with you shortly on the agenda, right? A quick overview on what is happening today. So we are into welcome and introduction. Shortly, we will introduce the speaker, and the speaker session will end with a Q&A. So we will appreciate if you could, while the speaker is speaking, if you have any questions, key in your questions in the chat box. We will pick it up from there and help you answer at the end, towards the end of the session. So it's just a short 45 to 50 minutes of speaker session. There will be a break at 10, and this short break, for the purpose of number one, is to give you the comfort break. The other part of it is also for Winnie. Winnie, would you like to just raise your hand and say hi to everybody? Fanny, would you like to raise your hand and say hi to everybody? That's Fanny. Fanny will be, Fanny will be actually matching the coaches and the client that is at around 10 something when you are in the room. Please do not log off if you are staying on with us for coaching. Please do not log off. That is where, when we ask you to name yourself ICF coach, that is the purpose of you being matched with a client for coaching experience between 10:30 to 11 a.m. The breakout room where coaching takes place will be extended until 11:30. So Fanny will be managing that, and she will be giving you the cue from time to time, how long more you can stay in the room, right? So that is a little bit about the agenda for today. And our speaker for today, a short introduction of him shortly. Dr. Chuck Appleby, owner of Appleby and Associates, an OD consulting firm. Chuck specializes in leadership coaching and the development of innovative high-performance organizations. Chuck has over 200 clients in industry, non-profits, NGOs, as well as federal and county governments. Some of his clients include Microsoft, Intel, Goodwill International, US Department of Energy, Arlington County, and the World Bank. Chuck was formerly an officer in the US Navy and has served on 2 nuclear submarines. I wish he had more time to share with us. Just a while ago, he shared some exciting stories about his service on the nuclear submarines. Chuck has been an company officer at Pacific Sierra Research Corp and Cito Corporation. Chuck is also an adjunct faculty member at the George Washington University and Georgetown University. Chuck has served in 3 non-profit board of directors, co-founder, board secretary of World Institute for Action Learning, and currently Director Emeritus at the World Institute for Action Learning. On that note, I'm going to do a quick slide change to bring Chuck into the picture. Sorry, some technical. Okay. Welcome to day 2 of ICW, and the plan for today we have shared. So, Chuck, back to you in terms of sharing with us your thoughts for today, Chuck.
Okay, and again, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here, and with, my goodness, so many people from all parts of the world, really. This is indeed a pleasure, and I look forward to sharing some ideas with you. And I also want to make a commitment up front that I am more than happy to connect with anyone after your ICF week is over and share more ideas or brainstorm with you about how you might use design thinking in your coaching practice. So let's start off with, I'm going to bless everyone in this room. You are now all officially designers, because we all basically we design courses of action to change existing situations into preferred ones. The theme of our conference, Defying Challenging Times. Doing that requires us to build courses of action, to go from a place where we are to a place where we want to be. So we're all designers. So I want you to think about, so if you're an ICF coach or a coach, I want you to think about, so how might I use design in my work? Or if you're a leader here attending as a leader, how might I use design in the work that I do? So I'm going to focus on the leadership coach. Here's a couple of thoughts on how, if you were more familiar with design thinking, you might be able to enhance your practice. So many of us as coaches also do leadership coaching and we do life coaching. So one of the core competencies of the Stanford Design School, where I was trained in design thinking, is called Designing Your Life. So people are actually, there is a book called Designing Your Life. There's a second book called Designing Your Life at Work. And so you can just think about, if I'm a designer, how could I improve my life? If I'm a coach, how can I improve my life as a coach? How could I improve my life as a leader? You could use design and design thinking to help improve your practice, to make your business model more effective. You could use design thinking and design to help make your coaching sessions even more effective. You could use design and design thinking to help create new offerings, like group coaching or peer coaching circles, which is something that I do a great deal of. So obviously many things can be done to using design. So the roadmap for today, if we go down one slide, the roadmap for today, one slide down, I guess, well, is the first thing I'm going to do is help. I've declared that you're all a designer because you do what designers do in your everyday life. But sometimes we think, oh, well, I'm not creative, and you have to be creative to be designers. Well, I'm going to now declare and then prove to you that you are creative. I'm going to talk shortly about what design thinking is, how it links to leadership coaching, which I just talked about briefly. I want you to experience design thinking, and specifically empathetic, using empathy in the course of coaching someone, and then we'll open it to questions. So now let's go to our picture of the horse. So I want you all to stand up. If everybody can please stand up. Make sure there's room behind you so your arms are free. Grab that one piece of A4 paper. If you have it handy, grab that piece of paper and grab the piece of paper with both hands behind your back. Your design challenge now is to sculpt this horse, either a side view, a front view, whatever your choice. I want you to sculpt this horse with that piece of paper behind your back, and you have 1 minute. So William, could you start a timer for 1 minute? And I hope everybody's standing up William, are they standing up? Do you see their hands behind their back? Do you all have that piece of paper in both hands ready to go? So William, when I say go, I want everyone in 1 minute to sculpt a horse.
I'm
5,
checking.
4, 3, 2, 1. Please begin sculpting with your hands behind your back and that piece of paper, the horse that you see before you.
50 seconds. $30 seconds gone. $45 seconds. One minute.
Okay, please stop. Bring your horse in front of you and put it in front of you. You can sit down if that's best now and hold that horse in front of you for all to see. And let's go to gallery view. You should be in gallery view so you can see what people have done. Who among you, and William, maybe you could call on somebody, you can see them out there. Just maybe, can you highlight some of the designs, some of the people, maybe just flash by for a few seconds, a couple of people that you see have the horse in front of them.
Yeah. So Ling, would you like to put that on gallery view to show people on the... Yeah, we see some design. Could everyone show your design?
William, if you stop the slide, then we can see the gallery.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So can
we hold those. Don't be shy. Hold your horses up. Hold your horses in front of you in gallery view. Look at that. Amazing. Now somebody looks like you've drawn on that piece of paper. So this is a creative person who said, I don't have to follow the rules. I'm just going to draw it. And Coach Cindy, Coach, hold it up. There it is. Coach Julia. Fantastic. So you see in 1 minute, sometimes I have people do an elephant. But William said I couldn't use an elephant because I did that once before. So we had to use a horse. But it's amazing how creative people can be. And in 1 minute, create a sculpture. And there's Coach Karen. She's got her flying horse. Wow, thank you so much. Beautiful. So let's go back to our slides. We've declared ourselves designers. We've proven that we all have creativity in us. And so there's no excuse but to lean in, have fun, and let's fasten our seatbelts and learn a little bit about design thinking. Let's go on to the next slide. So what is this thing called design thinking? What is it? On to the next slide. So essentially design, if you can go to the next slide, design thinking, and this is the founder of IDEO, one of the, so back up, yeah, the founder of IDEO, Tim Brown, who also was a co-founder of the Stanford Design School, known affectionately as the D School. Anybody that wants to have 88 tools that are free from design thinking, just go to the design school and press on Bootcamp Bootleg, and all the design thinking tools you could ever want are there for free. But basically, design thinking is a process in which we match people's deepest needs with something that's technically viable and viable to the business. And in case of a coach, so if you're redesigning your coaching practice, you've got to find out first, what are my users' needs? And specifically, what do they need that I'm not aware of? And specifically, what do they need that maybe they aren't even aware of? And then I've got to make sure that I have the capability to technically put it together. I have the capacity, the capability. And then I've got to make sure that whatever I put together is viable for a business. It's going to make me money or make me have impact if I'm a nonprofit or an internal coach. It's going to make me have a business impact. Okay. And there's Jean Lit. Somebody's putting up Jean Litka, wonderful reference, which is she's my guru. Jean Litka is at in Virginia, the Darden School of Business, Graduate School of Business, and her latest book is out now, and it teaches people who are very analytic in nature how to do design thinking. So the Stanford model has 5 steps. The first thing we do is go out there and empathize with our user to find those deepest needs that are often unspoken. And then we actually define the need of the user. Then we build ideas. Then we prototype it. We create a concept, and from a concept, we build a practice. And so if we're designing a new offering, or if we're simply improving the way we conduct a coaching session, we would maybe build a prototype and design it, and then go out and try it and test it on some of our colleagues and get feedback. Of course, no good process is without its driving principles. And at the very heart of design thinking is what's known as human-centered design. It thrives in an environment of radical collaboration, getting together a diverse group of people. It's got a bias towards action, which means we don't stop and fret and worry for hours and hours that we've done it right. We put something on the table, we get some feedback, and we move on. And when we meet with our users or our coachees, we don't spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes telling them what we've got. We actually do a very short show and let them tell us what they like and don't. And again, that prototype test. And the mindfulness of the process means there is a process, but it's not meant to be a straitjacket. So design thinking is a very, very useful tool to help you bring out the qualities of creativity and your designer capabilities to do a number of things, from building a new business option, a business offering, to building a better way to have a coaching session, to adding just a new way to engage a whole new product like peer coaching. So let's go on to the next slide. And what are some of the tools that we find in design thinking? And I'm just going to show you quickly. The next slide shows you, this is just a list of some of the tools that are at the heart of design thinking. And that 5 phases: empathy, define, ideate, prototype, test. The skills that we have are listed there. I'm not going to go deeply into those. And the tools. Today, we'll be learning a little bit about an empathy map and do some gathering of basically empathy from the experience that we have. So let's go on. So let's take a look at, so here's a very key concept. Henry Ford, notice the horse. If I'd asked people what they want, they would have said a faster horse. What does that mean? That means that people are usually pretty good at telling you what their unmet needs are, the superficial, but not always good at telling you the unspoken or unstated needs. And that's really what we're after. As a coach, when we try to help frame a client's challenge, we want to get beyond the sort of stuff that's at the surface. We want to go underneath and, using empathy techniques, get to the deeper needs that the client has. So let's go on. So here's a quick example of trying to understand what a need is. So tell me in the chat room, just quickly say, what is this woman thinking and feeling and needing? What does she need? Let's just focus on that. This is empathy. This is empathizing with this young girl on a chair, reaching up in a bookcase. So just take a few seconds and enter into the chat. What do you think she really needs? That's all I want to know. What's she after? What does she need? So she needs a reference for her homework. She needs knowledge. She needs a bigger chair. She's hungry for information. She needs a ladder. She needs an encyclopedia. She needs information. She needs help. She needs somebody to get her a book. She needs attention. Somebody got to take care of this girl before she falls down and breaks her arm. Or could she possibly be needing the candy that she knows her mom has hidden somewhere behind a book in one of the bookcases throughout their house? She's just being curious. So she's just exploring. So wonderful thoughts, but what did we just decide? What did we just discover? That as people observe people in action, observation yields different interpretations. So one of the challenges we have is to explore different possibilities and interpretations of what she needs and try to find to that sort of core need that's really driving her. She wants to know her limits. She wants somebody to ask her, what do you need? I love it. These are great observations. Thank you. She wants to stretch. So let's go on to the next slide. And don't forget that, what is she thinking? What is she feeling? What does she need? Those are the three core questions from Tim Galway, who was hired as a coach. He was a tennis coach. AT&T hired him to help the help center in AT&T because they were having very poor results. And he created a game for the call center people. And he said, I want you all, when somebody calls, I want you to imagine, to infer, what are they thinking? What are they feeling? And what is it they really need? Performance in the call center just skyrocketed because Galway, now a world famous, not just a tennis and golf course, but a world famous coach himself, saw the importance of empathy. So when we have needs, we have functional needs and we have emotional needs. So I think you highlighted some different. She needs to be noticed. She needs to be asked for help. That's more of an emotional need, whereas the functional need is she needs to stretch to get up. And what I'm offering is the need for all of us as coaches to not to be afraid of using inference to transform thoughts and feelings into hypothetical needs. And the brilliance of design thinking basically says, if I'm not right, I still have a chance to show my client what I thought the need was, get his or her feedback, and then go through another iteration of redesign and retest. So inference takes courage, and courage is what we need to step out of the box and develop new ways, especially when we're trying to defy challenging times. Let's go on to the next. Okay, and this is one of the tools from design thinking called an empathy map. And what you see on the right are thoughts and beliefs at the top quadrant, at the bottom quadrant, feelings and emotions. What you see on the left, and the person is pointing to, are the actual things that a person interviewing or a coach listening heard them say. Or in the bottom left quadrant, observed their body language, observed what they were doing. It's that inference that we're really trying to get you to develop the capability to do. Being able to infer from the left the quotes and words and statements, and actions and behaviors that you're observing, be able to sort of say, what are the thoughts and feelings that I'm detecting? And from there, we take the next step to sort of say, given those thoughts and feelings, what does that person need? A place to look if you want to explore this sort of empathy notion is the website at the Center for Nonviolent Communication. One of the pioneers of the Center for Nonviolent Communication really emphasized this stepwise process of going through thoughts and feelings to then uncover deeper needs. Let's go on to the next. Okay, so a quick story. A group of engineers were asked to go to Nepal and build a better incubator. Let's go and see the picture of the incubator. So here's the incubator coming up. Their design challenge was, we need a more rugged, more cost-effective, easier to maintain incubator for premature babies born in the mountains of Nepal, in the rural village areas of Nepal. The engineers who went over to help design this new thing weren't satisfied that this was really all that they needed to do. they went back and had the wherewithal to actually talk to mothers from villages, remote villages, 20, 30 kilometers through the snow up in the mountains, about what their experience was like when they had a premature baby, the experience of having the baby and getting it to the clinic. And what they learned was something remarkable that caused them to shift their whole direction. And here, based on their inference and their collecting of thoughts and feelings and then needs, they came up with another tool we use in design thinking called the point of view statement. And let's go to that. It's the next slide down. It has, the point of view statement has a basic formula, the user, the need, and the insight related to that need, often the why. They found that the women they talked to who had experienced going to the clinic had also experienced losing babies, premature babies, on the way to the clinic. In other words, what they realized was a deeper need was that many of their babies died before they even got to the clinic. So that became the focus. That became the core issue. The point of view statement drove their design of what's coming up in the next slide. Let's see. And it was called the Embrace Infant Warmer. It's a rugged papoose-like sack that a mom could fill with very hot liquids and actually keeps the baby at the proper temperature for more than 24 hours, which is the time perhaps needed to sort of wend your way down a trail from a remote village 15 kilometers away so that you would get your baby to the clinic. These are now used, these are used throughout the world and in remote areas, and they are in India and Nepal. Their cost is 1% that of a traditional incubator. And it actually gets that deeper need that these moms had of, I gotta be able to get my baby to the incubator, to the clinic itself. So let's go on now. And let's do some, let's experience design thinking. Let's not just have a talking head talk at you. So these are, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna ask you to capture with your cell phone. You're gonna see page 1 of the instructions, and then we'll go to the next page after I explain page 1, and you'll take a picture with your cell phone of page 2 of the instructions. So when you go in your breakout groups of 4, you'll have everything you need to do in front of you. So the instructions, it's set up. When you get into your group of 4, that will probably take us hopefully less than a minute to get there. Introduce yourselves. Hey, my name, where I'm from, my coaching experience or my leadership experience. Then appoint somebody, volunteer quickly. This has got to be done quickly to be the challenge presenter, and it should be an ICF coach in this case because we're really trying to look at improving something with respect to this coach's experience, their business, their way they coach, etc. Ask one person to be a facilitator just to make sure we're keeping the process flowing, a note taker, and a timekeeper. And a note taker is just capturing key ideas. The timekeeper is letting us know every 2 minutes that goes by, so we know how many, we now have X minutes left. And about every 2 or 3 minutes, give the group here's how many minutes we have left. Okay, the second page, so that's the setup. Hopefully you do that really quickly, less than 3 minutes. And then for the actual experience itself, and I do think we'll have close to 15 minutes to do this. And Bill, William, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, Jack. Around slightly less, maybe probably around 13 to 14 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, 13 to 14 minutes. And what we want you to do, you've established a challenge presenter. We want them to just quickly tell a 1-minute story about a great experience as a leadership coach. And it could be in getting business, or it could be in an actual session that they had that just went really poorly. And then have them shift quickly and tell them a story about one of the best experiences they ever had. And again, I'm going to count on the facilitator to make sure that we get all that done in about 2 minutes. So you're basically, one of the ways we usually start with empathetic interviews is by storytelling. And from the storytelling, questions emerge that we want clarity on and allows us to go deeper. So I want that you then take about 8 minutes, and all of you can ask the presenter, the problem presenter, about their experience, so you can understand what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and try to get what they need. So you're just gathering data, you're taking notes as well, and ultimately you're using inference. That inference from what I heard, from the thoughts and the feelings that I inferred, as well as what I heard and observed in the body language of this person. What do I think they're really their deeper need, that need that might not even be visible to them, that unspoken need is the ideal that we're looking for. And then share what you think, what ideas you have, what, hey, I believe your challenge is X, and here's my idea. That's in the 2 minutes. I believe here's your challenge, and here's what I say might be helpful. And the challenge owner will then take a minute to reflect and then say, based on what I heard, here's what I'm going to do to have a better experience in coaching, or to help build my business, or whatever it was that you told stories about. And then the facilitator basically says, were you helped, and how? If so, sorry for the misspelling. So if so, how? Okay, everybody have a picture in mind? So don't worry, just have some fun. Go in there. What we're trying to do is just listen to our presenter, understand their thoughts and feelings, and infer the needs that come from those thoughts and feelings. And then offer what you think their deepest need is, and what you might suggest that they try. The key is just to express what you think their deepest need is. The solution in this case is much less important. Okay?
So, Chuck, I am going to go back to the first page of the experience, so that for those who have missed out taking a picture from their handphone,
yeah.
So, please take this picture, the first instruction, the first page. Reach out for your handphone, take a picture or screenshot. Second page. And I'm going to stop share. We see the smile on the face. There must be something significant in the room.
Yeah.
I see Daniel smiling, Safura smiling.
I got kicked out of the room before I finished my action plan.
Giri managed to let off his team, so that's why he's smiling.
All right.
No, because I got to leave at 10 sharp, so I said, okay, I'm not going to be the challenger, but eventually I became the challenger. So that was a difficult part.
Oh, wow. I see Anthony, Coach Anthony, smiling also. There must be some wonderful discussion in the room. Yeah.
Yes, there was.
Okay, over to me. So I just want to do a quick debrief and just ask everybody to think about, do you really have a good sense of how I might use even that quick look at design thinking, how I might use that in my coaching practice, or if I'm a leader in leadership, using empathetic interviewing? When we give you so little time, just like we did with the 1 minute to create the horse. But what we find in design thinking is if you give people time constraints and other constraints, they actually do better. They sort of don't, when they're working, they don't self-censor. They actually say, we got it, we only have a few minutes, let's make the best of it. So let me see by a show of hands, how many people think by thumbs up, thumbs in the middle, or thumbs down, I think I could use design thinking in my practice as a coach or a leader? If you really feel strongly that it's thumbs up, or thumbs in the middle, or thumbs down. Let's just see what the group says. So yeah, Coach Daniel, even though he got kicked out, he's still an enthusiast. Okay, good. Grace Lee's got her thumb up. Excellent. So we didn't have much time, but hopefully you had a chance just to really get in there and through listening to a person's story about something that they were really upset about, or something they were really proud of or happy about, you begin to see some things that perhaps cause you to say, I see the way she's thinking, or I see some feelings that are emerging. How could I enhance those gains? Or how could I overcome the pains that I'm inferring? And of course, sometimes people will tell you directly, but the secret, the gold, the gold that we're searching for is when we're able to infer unspoken needs and then test to see whether we were right or not. So let's open the floor for questions. And any questions you don't get to ask now, we can put them in the chat. Put your questions in the chat, and I will do my very best over the next week to answer, and I'll send my answers back to William, who can get them out to people. And if you want a personal call just to brainstorm with me, I'm open to it. Just all 170 of you, just don't call tomorrow at 8 a.m. Just spread it out, and we'll be fine. Thanks. Who's got the first question? Coach Daniel, you have to leave, so we'll give you first right of refusal. Any questions come to mind? Why did I get kicked out of the meeting, I guess is the first question. Yeah.
I'll be helping you reading the chat box, Chuck.
Yes.
Yeah. So for those who have questions, please put Q in front of your question so that we can notice that there's a question for Chuck. Yeah. So Chuck, the first question is how the empathetic interview and giving constraints relate to the design thinking, from Coach Lam.
Yeah, so empathetic interview is what is the core tool in the first step of design thinking, the empathy phase. So what we usually do is go out and do usually about a 45-minute to an hour interview with a group of people if we're solving an organizational challenge, or in the case of a single problem challenge owner, we do an extended interview of at least an hour, and then we debrief afterwards. What is it we learned from the group we talked about, or we can talk in front of the coach if it's a single person. What did we just infer about her or his thoughts, feelings, and ultimately the pains or gains that they want to either accelerate or to overcome?
Another question is design thinking about MPV?
The minimum viable product.
MVP, right.
Yeah, so design thinking, one of the concepts there is to take you to, don't think that you have to build that perfect product. Get the minimum viable product out there and into the marketplace or into your practice and use it. So many of us think, I've got to make this perfect before I show it to a client. No, get your sketchy idea out there, and through a couple of visits and follow-up interviews, you'll have enough information to develop what's called an MVP, a minimum viable product. It does the job, it meets the user needs, it's technically feasible, and it's viable for my business or my mission.
Another question from Faiza is, what is the difference between I am sensing and inferring?
I think that's a fabulous question. I think I'm going to say, a coach often uses that word, I'm sensing. And I would say that's probably very close to making an inference. It's not something, usually that the word I am sensing means I didn't necessarily hear you say something, but as I watch you, as I listen to you, I think that sensing is what you're doing. So great connection, connecting the dots. Thank you for that. Wonderful observation.
Yeah. One question which came in from one of our registered participants prior to the program. So this is from a model from Nigeria. How do I become a multifunctional coach?
So by multifunctional, you mean I could be a life coach, I could be a business coach, I could be a leadership coach. Yeah. And I'm assuming if that's the right definition, I'd say it's go out and experiment. Put yourself out there. That's been, to me, that's one of the secrets of my life, is always not feeling like I have to be perfect at something, but just start doing it. When I learned action learning, for example, I didn't spend weeks and months trying to figure out how to make it perfect. I just went out there to my first customer, who was a group of volunteers in the Department of Energy in the US, and I just started down the path of what I'd learned. So it's really being willing, having the courage to try. And the best way to do that might be to create a peer coaching group amongst a group of coaches who all have the same mission that you do, to be multifunctional. Create a peer learning circle of 5 to 6 coaches who say, I want to be a multifunctional coach, and help each other.
So probably at this juncture, we'd like to pause. Anyone would like to unmute yourself, shout out a question to Chuck? Yeah. Please do so. Otherwise, I will continue from the chat box. Please unmute yourself.
Hey, Chuck, this is Kelvin here.
Hi, Kelvin.
Hi, I'm just curious because, you know, is time limitation a factor here to ensure that you gain most or you get most out of, you know, the process itself? Because I noticed that many people get, you know, frozen or freeze when there's time limitation and they cannot really think.
Yeah, no, so that's definitely a worry. So, you know, so it's a dilemma. And one of the things I love to talk about are polarities and dilemmas of a coach or a leader. And that is, you know, if you have too much limitation, it can create anxiety, If you have not enough limitation, it can create just, I've got plenty of time, so I'll just wander my way down the street and so forth. So, Kelvin, it's really a balancing act. And we probably gave you far too little time than I would have liked, for sure.
Thanks, appreciate for the answer.
Yeah, who would have the next question? Please unmute yourself, shout out your question to Chuck. Otherwise,
hi.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Please go ahead.
Yes, Chuck. This is Lupe. I would like to know, maybe my training was a lot in not putting words. So I feel a little uncomfortable when I infer, because I feel that I'm putting words on the other one or feelings. So especially there are some people who may want to not be rude, or that's my thinking.
Yeah.
And maybe they want to please you and say, okay, yeah, that's what you're saying is correct. So what do you say there? Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is I'm reluctant to infer, because it might be putting pressure on them to say, oh yeah, you're right. And I think, there's no easy answer to that. It's what we have to do as coaches, is develop trust with folks. But I think if they see it as a practice, and you up front, you say, I'm going to periodically just feed back to you what I'm sensing or what I'm inferring, and I want you to give me feedback whether that's, whether it's accurate or not. And if it's not, you're also planting a seed. They may not really realize that you hit the nail on the head, but maybe 2 days later, that was floating around in their mind, and they come back and go, she was onto something. Maybe I should take a look at it. It does take courage, Guadalupe, to put it out there, and it does. Sometimes the ICF you might feel like, well, does the ICF really condone the idea of giving somebody sort of here's what I'm sensing, here's what I'm thinking, as opposed to directly hearing from it. And I'm not advocating that we violate anything the ICF does. I'm just showing you another technique called design thinking that I have found useful in my work as a coach, as well as my action learning work, where we do peer coaching groups and things like that.
Okay.
So you're from Argentina, right? So you have made this. This is totally a global conference. Thank you.
Well, actually, I live in KL, so.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we only have one last question. If anyone have last question, unmute yourself. Last question for Chuck. Barry.
Hi. Chuck, my question is, I'm just looking at the word probe as an inference. So could you comment when we do the empathy interviews, what is the percentage of open questions versus closed questions? Because when the probe, then I think a lot of us tend to think about closed questions.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we should always, in coaching, design thinking, action learning, we always should strive to ask open, non-judgmental, concise, and creative questions for people. And so I would always advocate open-ended questions. especially when you don't have a lot of time.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your questions. And to get in touch with Chuck, as promised, I'm going to do a quick share screen, how you can get in touch with Chuck.
Yeah, and I'm really serious. I'm glad to talk with anybody who wants to just explore this further. And I will take a look at other questions that William sends me from the chat and think about answers over the next week. And thank you for it's been an honor to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me. And good luck with the rest of your conference, your ICW.
Thank you, Chuck. You might want to reach out for your handphones and take a picture of this to be connected with Chuck. In the meantime, we would appreciate if you could just key in your learnings in the chat box. Yeah, what are your takeaways from today's session with Chuck? Please
thank you for reminding
the chat box.
Yeah, one thing I'm taking away about design thinking and how I might apply it to my coaching business, to create a new offering, to improve my session design.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
As a reminder, yeah, we have the next forthcoming session on tomorrow with Simon, on Thursday with Simon Flynn, Friday Nadia, and with ICF Foundation, Jesh and Shruti on Saturday, right? So shortly we're going to take a short break, and meanwhile I'm going to do a stop share in our traditional manner to say thank you from all participants to Chuck. Can we just raise our hands and say thank you in this manner? Either a clap or either a wave, the American style to Chuck. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And not forgetting, we're going to take a picture. Soklin, are you ready to take a picture? Everyone, please on the video.
Yeah.
Give your best smile. Yeah.
Everyone, please pause sending in the chat, because then the chat will kind of like hide some of your pretty faces.
Right. So ready, Soklin?
I still have the chats coming up.
Right. We appreciate if you can pause the chat first. You can key in later. For the moment, for us to take a beautiful picture. Yeah. Right. If not, it will cover some photos. Yeah. Smile, everyone. Smile.
Okay.
Best
all right.
smile.
So I'm taking the first screen. Second screen. Some photos are not on here. Okay, I have a chat.
Continue to smile. You don't know which screen are you in.
Yeah, you don't know which screen you're in. Okay, this is
smiling.
the third screen.
Smiling.
You're smiling.
All right, done.
Bring out your lovely
Done.
smile.
Thank you.
Thank
Chuck,
you.
Thank you very much. And we'll hope to see you back again. We have already given you the context of Chuck. Please get in touch with Chuck. And for the slides in PDF, please, we'll put it into the ICF website shortly. Yeah. So get in touch with ICF. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take a short break. Fanny, before the short break, would you like to say something first on the coaching experience, right?
Yes. Hi, coaches. Those who like to stay back for coaching, please rename yourself ICF coach with your name or coach with your name. Those who like to be coached, please come back and we will assign you accordingly. And messages will be broadcasted when the time is up for 45 minutes. But you can stay in the breakout room until 11:30 before we close all the rooms. Right. See you later.
So coaches, now is 10:05. We will be back exactly at 10:15. 10 minutes break. Yeah. See you shortly.